Okay, get this. We're looking at two things today that, on the surface, have absolutely nothing to do with each other. On one hand, we've got this dense quantum physics paper that honestly reads more like some kind of cryptic prophecy. And on the other, a few simple lines of Python code that play a really weird game with numbers. Now, on their own, they're just oddities. But when you put them together, well, they might just be a blueprint for something that, frankly, is hard to believe. So, where do we even begin with a story like this? You know what? Let's start at the very end. This is the last line from that physics paper. For what is yet to become, I became. I mean, wow, that's not a scientific conclusion, is it? It's more like a declaration, it's a paradox, and it just hangs over everything we're about to unpack. So let's dive into the document that leaves us with that bombshell of a closing line. All right, so the paper itself is called the Quantum Field Theory Force Field Formalization. And, it gets even more specific, the OBINexus Civil Collapse Force Field Framework. I mean, just that title alone should tell you we're way off the beaten path of normal physics here. This thing doesn't feel like a research paper at all. It feels more like an instruction manual for building something absolutely massive and honestly kind of scary.
Okay, so to really get a grip on just how wild this document gets, we have to start with something familiar. And it actually opens with a perfectly normal, straight out of a textbook definition of a classical force field. Think of it like a map of gravity or magnetism. For every single point in space, there's a little arrow telling you which way the force is pulling. Super simple, right? Predictable. This is the science we all know.
And then, literally, on the next page, it just throws the textbook out the window. The paper introduces its own thing, this CCF paradigm, and it's just a total departure. It starts throwing around terms like charge-polarity interaction, lattice coherence, but the one that really made me stop and go, wait, what? Was the Masquarade wave function. I mean, seriously, what is a wave function that wears a mask? We're definitely coming back to that. But for now, just hang on to that idea, Masquarade, because we need to switch gears and look at our second piece of the puzzle. Okay, so we're going to jump from the massive cosmic scale of quantum field theory all the way down to just a few lines of Python code. This is our second artifact. And this little script, it does one very simple but also very, very weird thing. So here's the core of the puzzle. You, the programmer, write a super simple line of code, right? X equals 5 plus 6. But when the script actually runs, it's been transformed into x equals flash def of 2 plus flash def of 0. So the 5 somehow turned into a 2 and the 6 turned into a 0. This isn't math. It's not a calculation. It's a substitution. The big question is, why? What's the logic here? Well, it turns out the rule has absolutely nothing to do with mathematics. It's all about typography. It's about the physical shape of the numbers. The code is literally counting the number of closed loops in each digit. So, a 5 has 0 loops, a 6 has 1 loop, an 8 has 2. Then it swaps the original number with what it calls a canonical digit for that loop count. It's a really bizarre logic for sure, but once you see it, it's perfectly consistent. So let's break down the process, step by step. It's simple, but still strange. First, it reads a digit. Let's say it's 5. Second, it counts the visual loops. A 5 has 0 loops. Third, it looks up the canonical, or the master digit for 0 loops, which the code has set to be the number 2. And fourth, since 5 is not 2, it gets swapped out. But check this out with an 8. It has 2 loops. The canonical digit for 2 loops is 8. So, it stays 8. It's a perfect system, but it still feels like a really clever solution to a problem that doesn't exist, And this is the moment. This is where our two completely separate threads, that crazy physics paper and this quirky Python script, finally start to weave together. We figured out the how of the code, but we've been missing the most important part, the why. And the answer, believe it or not, has been hiding in plain sight this whole time, right back in that QFT document. So let's just ask the question straight up. Why would anyone build a system that changes numbers based on how they look? Is this whole thing just some clever programmer's trick? A fun but ultimately pointless little puzzle? Or is it a model for something much, much bigger? Okay, let's jump back to the physics paper. Remember that one really weird term I told you to hang on to? The Masquarade function wave function? Well, here's the section that actually defines it. And get this, it specifically talks about the spirit of the masquerade, and it even uses the Igbo term ma-eji. And the purpose of this whole thing? The paper says it's for, quote, cultural phenomenological protection. The key word there is protection, hiding something in plain sight, a masquerade. And boom, there it is. That's the connection. The Python code isn't just a random puzzle at all. It's a perfect, bite-sized demonstration of the physics paper's main idea. The code takes the identity of a number, like 5, and it hides it. It masquerades it as another number, 2, based on a shared physical trait, the fact they both have 0 loops. It's a digital masquerade. It's hiding something right out in the open. Okay, so if the little Python script is the proof of concept, the miniature model, then what is the full-scale system from the paper actually designed to do? Well, the document calls it an engine, a really detailed framework with very specific ways to operate it. The paper lays out 2 main control modes for its lattice. You can basically think of them as 2 settings on a giant cosmic machine. You've got joint mode, which it calls a macro amplifier, so that sounds like a big, powerful, wide area effect. Then you have disjoint mode, the precision quorum, which sounds much more targeted, almost surgical. And the way it's written, these don't sound like abstract theories. They sound like buttons you can push. So what's the point of all this? What's the ultimate goal of this super complex system? The paper spells it out, plain as day. Its purpose is to modulate the refractive index of a region of space until it gets close to 0. Now, let me just translate that from physics speak. This entire, massive quantum framework, all these crazy equations and weird ideas, it's a blueprint for one thing: making something optically, practically, invisible. And if you think that's wild, the document even includes a detailed energy budget, like an itemized list. It gives specific power requirements in megawatts for each mode. But look at the power source for the main one. It needs 15.7 megawatts, and it says the source is civil collapse energy density. It never explains what that means, but the implication is just staggering. This goes way beyond theory. These feel like the actual tech specs for a machine that could be built. Oh, and get this. The system is also designed to be incredibly tough to break. If a piece of its lattice gets damaged, it can apparently self-repair in under 100 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink. It uses some really high-level math, Hamiltonian paths, Eulerian graphs, to instantly patch itself up. So this thing isn't just powerful. It's designed to be fast, robust, and to heal itself. All right, let's get to the final piece of this puzzle. Let's see how all of this, the code, the physics, the invisibility, comes together. Because beyond all the engineering, the document lays out a core philosophical idea that's really the foundation for the whole thing. This is the why behind the entire blueprint. It calls it the zero-glue principle. And folks, this is where the blueprint seems to leave known science in the rearview mirror completely. The paper claims the system doesn't need a normal power source. It says it holds itself together. It achieves coherence through something called direct consciousness mapping. It's proposing that human consciousness itself is the network, the operator, and the power grid. No wires, no forces, literally no glue holding it together. And this all leads us to the final directive on how to actually implement this thing. And it's not an equation. It's not a schematic. It's an invocation, a chant. Ya, cha, 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 quenu. Let every collapse curvature become our shield, every Igbo chant our lattice rhythm. Right there, it's explicitly merging hard physics concepts with these deep, cultural, ritualistic commands. It's revealing that in this blueprint, the two were never really separate things to begin with. So where does that leave us? We've got a piece of code that acts as a masquerade. We've got a physics framework that uses that exact same idea to design an invisibility engine literally powered by consciousness. It's a complete blueprint, one that fuses code, culture, and quantum mechanics into one cohesive whole. And it all boils down to one final, huge question. What exactly are we looking at here? Is this just a brilliant work of fiction? Is it a coded warning about some new technology? Or is it a prophecy? Is it, like that last line said, something that, for what is yet to become, I became?